Okay, Latin 4. Of all the lessons I have ever taught you, this is the one which I so wish we could have done in person, but we can't, and so we're going to do our best. This is the culminating lesson of 4 years of Latin, in all honesty. The British and American system of Latin instruction has actually, for the last 100 years, understood that the reason you study Latin for 4 years, as you all have, is so that you can read Caesar, which we did for the first half of the year, and then that you can read the Aeneid, in particular, that you can read the passage that we are going to explore in this video today. Now, I need to give you a little background so that you can understand what's going on. We have read about the storm that Juno created. Juno created it because she hates the Trojans. The reason she hates the Trojans is she knows that they will eventually give rise to the Romans, and the Romans will destroy her beloved Carthage. And so she goes to King Aeneas, as we read about. She basically offers him a nymph to be married to, and he opens up the mountain, and the winds go out, and there's a horrible storm we read about. And then just last week, in the epic simile, we read about how Neptune intervenes, and he stops the storm. And so here's what you need to know happens next. The storm ends. And yes, a bunch of Trojans were even killed in the storm, but Aeneas and many others were not killed, and they basically become shipwrecked on the shores of modern-day Tunisia. At the time, it was considered the Roman province of Libya, but where they're going to land is at Carthage, which is the city of the Carthaginians. And so the queen of Carthage is Dido. I remember telling you in class about how Dido had been a refugee herself. Her brother had killed her husband, and she had to flee with some refugees. She has founded a kingdom in North Africa. It will eventually give rise to Carthage, but she is sympathetic to the plight of these Trojans because she understands what it is to be a refugee, and she gives them the permission to stay. Now, Venus is the mother of Aeneas. Venus obviously wants to protect her son. Juno hates the Trojans. Juno wants to protect Carthage. Venus and Juno basically come up with a pact which historically is going to make no sense. And that is, Juno basically realizes, hey, if Aeneas just stays here in Carthage and marries Dido, then he's not going to go to Italy, which is his destiny, and he's not going to found a kingdom which eventually gives rise to Rome, which will destroy Carthage. Venus basically collaborates with Juno in arranging for the two of them, Dido and Aeneas, while everybody is out on a hunting trip. They collaborate to create a storm which is going to end up driving the two of them separately to find refuge in a cave, where then this man and this woman, nature's going to take its course, and they are going to make love. And the plan for Juno is to stop Aeneas from ever reaching Italy. The plan for Venus is just temporary protection for her son, really. Venus still understands that his ultimate destiny is to go to Italy. And so, let's read this passage. Now, you've got on your PDF, you've got vocabulary provided. This would be a good final opportunity to just, make your best attempt at a translation and then compare it to what I will unfold in the video. Interia magno miscere murmure caelum incipit. Meanwhile, the sky begins to be mixed with a large murmur. Again, Juno and Venus are going to create this storm. Miscere is a passive infinitive. So caelum is actually the subject of the verb incipit. The sky begins. What the sky begins to do is miscere, to be mixed. What is it mixed with? Magno murmure. Now, look at all that alliteration. Magno miscere murmure caelum. You can almost hear the storm coming, people. And, oh, by the way, in this passage, if you didn't believe me before about Virgil using word order to paint a scene, you're about to see the ultimate proof. In sequitur commixta grandine nimbus. Take a wild guess on a few things, okay? Commixta, take a wild guess. And also nimbus, just based on maybe your knowledge of science. Yes, commixta means mixed with, and nimbus means cloud. So what follows this is a nimbus. What is it? It is commixta. It is mixed with. What is it mixed with? Grandine, hail. So a cloud mixed with hail follows on. Et Tyrii comites passim et Trojana Juventus, Dardaniusque nepos veneris diversa per agros tecta metu petiere. So we've got et, and we've got que. So remember that when you have those, it's like both blank and blank and blank. So both this and this and what's going to be all of this. So here's what it is. Tyrii, the Tyrians. Now, Tyrians means from Tyre. Tyre is the city that Dido originally came from in Lebanon, and so we call them Tyrians even though now they live in Carthage. So, everywhere, pasim, everywhere, Tyrian counts, comites. You first encountered that word comes, plural comites, when we read the story of the three daughters of the king. Remember, one of them was married to a count. So everywhere Tyrian counts, and Trojana Juventus, Trojan youths. Because remember, these refugees are all kind of mixed together now, and they're hanging out. And who else is here? Aeneas' son Ascanius. Now, he is described as the Dardanian grandson of Venus. Well, since Venus is Aeneas' mother, that means that he's Venus's grandson. And Dardanius is just it's an adjective that is a synonym for Trojan. Okay, so what these have all done is petiere, they have sought. Now what they have sought is diversa tecta. Those words actually go together even though they are in separate lines. What they have sought through fields, because remember they're all out hunting and all of a sudden there's this huge hailstorm, and so what they have sought are diverse roofs. And why they've done it? Metu, out of fear. So what this means is if you are out hunting and all of a sudden, boom, there's this massive hailstorm, you are looking for any cover you can find. Maybe some of them find like some shed somewhere and they get in there. Maybe some of them find like a big tree and they manage to get under that. And so everybody scatters looking for shelter. And the whole point is, now that all of these Tyrian counts are out of the way, and all of these Trojan youths, and in particular, Aeneas' son Ascanius, Aeneas and Dido alone are also going to seek shelter out of fear. Ruunt de montibus amnes. Streams rush down from the mountains. Amnes is the Subject of the verb ruint. Streams rush down from the mountains. Maybe you've been somewhere where when there's a sudden rainstorm, there's these channels on mountains that they all of a sudden are filled with water and there's streams rushing down. And here's what happens next. Speluncam Dido dux et Trojanus eandem deveniunt. Do you know what spelunking is? Spelunking is going and exploring caves. And so spelunca means cave. So what's happened here is that Dido and who? Dux Trojanus. Dido and the Trojan leader, deveniunt, come upon. What do they come upon? They come upon speluncam eandem. They come upon the same cave. And look, people, if there was ever any doubt, the two of them together are in the same cave. This is not a coincidence. Also, by the way, not a coincidence is the fact that the conjunction between the two. Okay, so basically the grammatical idea is Dido and Aeneas. Okay, Dido et Aeneas. But notice that the word is not Aeneas, it's Trojan leader. And by having dux on this side of the et, what Virgil is in fact depicting here is the absolute intimacy of the two. They are, as it were, merged as they are in the same cave.